Google has just released Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite, which is their fastest and most cost-effective model to date, and they can handle large-scale documents and make interactive web apps with them. Check it out.
We used Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite to build this research prototype that instantly transforms a static document into an interactive experience. Extracting insights from massive documents is a challenge of speed and complexity. To solve this, you need a model that is not only powerful, but also incredibly fast. It takes seconds for the app to upload and prepare a document. In this case, we're actually going to process two documents: the World Happiness Reports from 2024 and 2025. These are large documents which come in at 158 and 260 pages, respectively. So now that the model has processed both the documents, we can start actually exploring them. And you can see here, every time we click part of the summary, Gemini Flash Lite is processing the entire document and then generating new interfaces with new summaries, all in the blink of an eye. This is a completely new way to read a document. More than offering a simple top-line summary of the text, it's giving us the option to go as deep as we like. We can ask the app to explain, to summarize, to expand or extract data and information. And the model isn't limited to text interfaces. We can even ask it to code a chart for us from scratch based on information across both documents. We can see the model doing that work in the background right now. And remember, we're just processing two documents here. Imagine what you could do with a pipeline of thousands. And here is that completely original and accurate chart. This is just one of the many ways in which a fast model like Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite can make business information easier to access and easier to understand.
As you've seen in that demo, Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite was able to go through over 100-page document and take out keywords and analyze it a whole entire, basically a book. There's books that's 10 or 20 pages, so 100 pages definitely classify as some type of book at this point. They said that Gemini 2.5 Flash is their most cost-effective and fastest model. They say you can start building with the preview version right now if you're looking forward to feedback. They said their 2.5 Flash Lite has an all-around higher quality than the 2.0 Flash Lite, which makes sense. And it's better on coding, math, science, reasoning, and multimodal benchmarks. It excels in high volume documents because it has that 1 million token to answer any question as fast as you pretty much want it to be. Also has good at latency sensitive tasks like translations. So if you want to maybe use this to try to translate things in real time, this would be a really good model for that. 2.5 Flash also kind of follows that hybrid approach that we've seen in Flash as well as in Pro, where it has the thinking ability. So it's able to do responses, but also able to think deeper. So it has that hybrid approach, which I think was kind of popularized by Claude, but Gemini just does it so well, and Gemini has just been putting out straight fire since their keynote. They say their thinking has improved, performance and transparency through step-by-step reasoning with thinking, as well as they now use tool use, which now uses search. So if you want Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite to search Google to find your answers, you now can. It's also good at code execution, so if you want this model to be able to execute different code that you have available for the AI, you can. And the 1 million token window is absolutely insane. If you look at this benchmark, when you see Gemini 2.0 Flash against the 2.0 Flash Lite, you see that it's an overall improvement. Where you see Humanity's Last Exam, you see that it scored a 5.1 for the 2.0 version, but in the 2.5 version, it still scored the 5.1, but when you use thinking, it scored a 6.9. So it's definitely major upgrades there. Also with science, you see that the normal 2.0 version scored a 65.2%. With Flash version scored a 64 initially, but it goes all the way up to 66%. And you see this kind of across the board, that think longer to answer your question is definitely a game changer, not only with Gemini, but with all apps. It seems like having it rethink and think through a process longer gives you better answers overall, no matter what model you use. And 2.5 Flash Lite is no difference. I think this is going to be really good for lightweight, cost-effective items that you don't need such a huge powerhouse behind. And this may be really good for a lot of independent app makers, as well as enterprise-wide, to make it more cost-effective to include AI in without having to break the bank. But tell me what you think. Do you think this is cool, or do you think, I use the Pro models, the 03 Pros and the Gemini 2.5 Pros, because those things basically are the real powerhouses? If you want to keep up with the latest and greatest AI news, you should definitely like and subscribe. With that being said, your boy Dex9 Dexter out.
This might look like a basic operating system, but it's actually something much cooler. It's a research prototype showing off the capabilities of Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite. Every time you click through to a new window, Gemini is writing the code for the UI and its contents for the very first time, based on the context of the previous screen and the time it takes to click a button. That means this is a non-deterministic operating system. So if we go into this folder and then come out of it and then go back into it again, the contents are completely different each time. It's not just folder structures that we can generate whole apps. So if we click this icon, Gemini will generate an app based on that context alone. This is an example of something we could only have built with a model like Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite, which is able to process large numbers of tokens in a fraction of a second.